and welcome to another edition of Girls Talk 9.0, where we candidly talk about the horror film pick of the week and occasionally the topic du jour. Today is one of those occasions we're going to talk about what's hitting TikTok and YouTube, the video, Who TF Did I Marry? My name is Whaley Hollow. With me is the sensational Sunchild.
Hey.
And we have the fabulous Fly Girl
Hey,
and the notorious note taker, Nanya. Hopefully she can hear us.
Uh,
Uh-oh. All right, well, we're just going to continue. So spoiler alert, I mean, if you haven't seen the video, I'm sure half of the world has. Just go out and check it out because we're going to talk about the whole thing. And we wouldn't want to spoil the end for you if you haven't seen it. So what is it about? It's just about this woman's account of her meeting someone that I guess she was in love with, married, and how she divorced, and the strange things that occurred within that time period. So without further ado, Nunya, can you hear us okay?
yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, okay. Guys, am I breaking or am I clear?
You're clear and we can hear you. It's just a little bit of a lag in the video versus the voice.
Okay. All right.
yeah, it's freezing.
All right. So Fly Girl, you want to kick us off?
Yes, I'll kick us off. I think this TikTok uh, had you, just trying to replace yourself with her, trying to relate as a woman. So it kind of took you through some things to kind of understand because even if you didn't go through it, you have tons of friends who go through it, and so you're trying to make sense of it. So I felt like I went through different emotions. At first, I was just like, the flags are there. What's the problem? And then I went into an empathetic mode and tried to understand why she did some of the things that she did and why she ignored some of the flags that she did. And I felt like she did explain that she didn't want to be alone during COVID, but I felt like it was like more than just not wanting to be alone. She did say that she loved the fact that a man was taking care of her. What woman doesn't want a man to take care of her? I felt like that's one of the main reasons why she stayed so long because she felt like she was getting things from it, and it relieved her of the stress of having financial stress of trying to, make it through life financially by her on her own. And this man comes along, he's her type, and he's saying all these things that women want to hear. Like guys who prey on women, they prey on weak women, and they know to say things, especially when it comes to financial and family and kids and that the fairy tale, they know, because a lot you can tell like this man has been even before you got to the end, you knew that he had to be a master player because he just said all those things and did all those things. And she stayed in it, I felt like, because she was getting, he was paying all of her rent. He was telling her he was going to buy her all these things. So she ignored, that's the main reason to me why she ignored the signs. If me, I would have been kind of banking my money. She was banking her money. Not that it was right, but I felt like, okay, you're kind of using him and he's kind of using you. It was way too quick. But I felt like it was a good thing. At first, I was like, why would you put your business out there? But then I was like, there's hundreds of women who are doing the same thing. Maybe it'll help somebody, even if it helps just one person, and to show that you can go through something and also get out of it and then remain strong. So, it was different. I thought it was good for the perspective of helping someone else. So that was my just opinion of it.
Yeah, I'll go next. I thought, as I was listening to her, immediately I thought, okay, she's doing this for the financial reasons, like you said. And it's a good point. You made up a good point saying, she was probably using him a little and he was using her a lot. Um, it was almost like a quid pro quo kind of thing, unspoken. But I do think, that's the reason why she kind of, because I didn't feel like she had a low self-esteem. I mean, she was funny, she's beautiful, you know what I mean? So I didn't feel like she had low self-esteem, but and maybe in that area, maybe she felt like she did, although again, I didn't get that impression because she's made a comment about, how many people I turned down. So who knows? But I do believe it was for me, it was about for her, the money. And as long as he was paying those things and promising her bigger things, she was kind of along for the ride. I mean, I don't know what her reasoning was. First thing she said was, I'm very religious. Religion is very important to me. 2 weeks later, I'm going to invite some guy into my house during COVID. Like I don't understand. I couldn't understand the rationale. So what if he's in the studio and you're in a house? Is no phone? Like the phones were working during COVID as far as I knew. So I couldn't understand why she still felt the need to cohabitate with someone that she really didn't know. Like 2 weeks is not a long time. I mean, you can know someone in 2 weeks, but do you feel comfortable moving in with someone that you might have a relationship with in 2 weeks? I don't know. I know I wouldn't, especially not during COVID. Do you know what I mean? Because everything is pretty much locked down, so you're almost confined to the house. Yeah, there's no way I would have made that move. But like I said, I mean, I do think, I'm glad she told the story. I mean, like I said, I watched at least 90% of it. And I think she was kind of brave because, people can be critics. Like we're all going to have something to say about it, right?
Mhm.
But she shared her story, which was cool. I do believe, unfortunately, there are women, like Fly Girl said, that probably would fit that will fall into that. I mean, I don't know any, but I'm sure there are tons out there. I just wish that women in general just felt more self-esteem, more like, cause she was doing fine before she met him. So the fact that, he came in and the first flag for me is, listen, you can change my tire. Anybody would change anybody's tire. That's just a neighborly thing to do. But to pay for the tire, to me, would have been like red flag number one. I've been like, no, no, you're not paying for my tire because I mean, I'll pay for my own tire. You don't need to do all that. You want to, go Dutch on dinner or pay for dinner, that's different, but you're not paying for my tire. Something about that is like too personal. It just takes it a little further than a date for me. So I would have been like nervous then. That would not have happened. So, but yeah, those were my views really, high level.
Okay, I'll go. I agree with what everyone has said. This is probably going to be the shortest call we've ever had because we're all on the same page on this one. I thought she is an amazing storyteller, truly gifted. It is near impossible to tell a story over 3 years and make it so succinct and engaging. And she's very captivating and funny. She just, I think after this, I think you guys may have heard that she's been getting a lot of attention and flying all over the world. And if I'm Shonda Rhimes, I'm like, I'm signing that woman tomorrow because she really is one of the best storytellers I've ever heard. Um, I so appreciate her willingness to be honest and transparent, knowing that, like we've all said, people were going to judge her for it, and she does come across as looking, um, you know, flawed. But I did appreciate that. I like that she came out and said it, that the idea of being taken care of, and also so I think it sounded like to me it was two things. She was obsessed with the idea of getting married and having kids. Right, that was one of the things that was driving her. Then on top of it, the financial thing, and then she said that it was intoxicating having somebody pay for everything that and I can understand that. I think I like that she put it in those terms because I don't think people really ever describe it that way.
Mhm.
But it is intoxicating. I can only imagine. Listen, if you're Gail and Oprah's your friend, let me tell you, you're getting used to some stuff. So I can understand that completely. Um, I was a little surprised at her level of naivete. I mean, this was a college educated woman, and she almost had zero business sense. Like, I don't know. I understand not everybody's bought a house, but if you look at a letter and you can't tell that that letter without letterhead, like she just had no business sense. She was so naive. I don't want to call her what I want to say, but because I want to be respectful. But I was actually just amazed at how little she knew about anything. And even if you don't know much about it when you start, the fact that she just was not willing to take any efforts to figure out, how does the home buying process work? Who talks to who? What roles do people play? Like, so he was coming back and telling her the most ridiculous things. And because she had no knowledge of anything and didn't want to find out, she just went along with it. And I think part of the reason she didn't want to find out was because she didn't want to believe that this fairy tale could not be true. Because I know she knew. So she's smart in many ways, and she knew.
Yes, exactly.
Into it. And I hate to say this, and go ahead and cancel me if you want to, but she definitely escaped unharmed. Had she had that baby, oh my God,
Oh,
the
oh,
poor
that would
one,
have been.
the poor baby, what a nightmare. What a nightmare. So she was, I don't want to use the word blessed, but she was lucky in that respect that she was able to leave without any ongoing ties to him. Other thing I would say is I think she did go a little, she did her best to keep it, or she did a good job keeping it somewhat anonymous, but she told a little bit too much about herself. So anyone could kind of back into who he was. So I felt like maybe she could have left out some more personal details and kept it a little bit more generic. Because she was telling us where she was driving to, and like she was just telling us way too much information. So you could narrow it down and figure out who he was. And that's exactly what happened. And that's why he came out. I don't know if you guys saw, but
No, but I want to talk about that
okay.
after
Yeah,
Sunchild.
I'm done. This is not something I would normally ever watch. I do not like this kind of thing. I feel like that's what the whole Lifetime channel's about, Hallmark channels. It's always about some woman being betrayed by a man, and them being completely naive. So we've seen the story a million times, but again, I think it was that she was so honest about it, and that she's such an engaging storyteller. You wanted to like her, and I liked her, and I was on her side till about midway, and then I was like, then I felt like I had to stay to watch the end because I just wanted to see how crazy she would get. And yeah, the stuff that she put up with made no sense to any rational person, but love is not rational. So that's it for me.
What do you got, Sunchild?
Wow, it was a lot to unpack. And unfortunately for myself, I saw a lot of myself in that beginning story. My ex-husband's watching. I'm definitely talking about you, and I don't care. But but at that time I was younger, early 30s, listening to I want to say biological clock ticking, but not for children. Just for like at this point in my life, I should be married and I should be in this. I think I had that as my focal point, that I ignored a lot of red flags, not to the like extent that she did, because once I saw the flag, I was out. But I loved all that wooing, as I like to call it, the paying for the tire. It's the same feeling I had for her, I had for myself. Like, I'm just the average Joe, as she seemed to be as well. We weren't like, wealthy. Like, why is this person putting out all this effort for just a regular schmegula, as Cardi B would say, girl? You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing. What is it? What do you need to come into my life and do this to me for? I really there were a couple of times I really had tears for her, because although it seems, hindsight is always 2020. Some of that stuff seems so ridiculous. I think she had her blinders on, much like a lot of people do. They're like, I want to be married. This person wants to be married. I want to have this life. I'm going to work towards it with this person, especially when you don't have, probably if you're a wealthy person of, means, you're probably looking at everybody sideways. Like, what are you over here for? What do you want? But when you're just two regular people working, you don't really feel like there's any, like, what is there to gain? We're already living together. We're already doing this. You're already, you don't have to buy the cow. You're already getting the milk. What are you putting out all this effort for this marriage and this whole thing when, for what? Like, I just don't understand the manipulation part, which is really what I found so interesting was him, was everything she said about him. I'm like, I didn't get to the end. I'm gonna finish it up today. I still have maybe like less than 10, I want to say, more to go. So I'm pretty sure I know how it ends. But I just would love to hear a male's version of why they do these things.
Mm.
Like, what do they get some kind of like high off of it? It's just mind blowing, the roller coaster that he put her on. I really did have a lot of empathy for her, because in the beginning I could relate, and then towards the middle I'm like, well, you are older. I don't think anybody can snow me in my 40s the way they did early 30s. With age and wisdom and all that. I mean, even if things don't personally happen to me, I watch movies, I hear other people's experiences. A lot of things give us insight on what is a possibility. So I just wondered, like, how far was he trying to see how far he could take it? The whole thing was really, and she is an excellent storyteller. And I hope this gave her like maybe, like, I don't want to say self-esteem, like she didn't have it, but I hope this gave her like the power to, yeah, just the level of like love for her own self, that you really can have a fabulous life all by your lonesome. You really don't need, you want to have somebody, but if there's not like a mutual level of, respect and trust and understanding and truthfulness, like, just the fact that she was so in the dark. He can buy all the dinners and tires he wants to. If he's not open with you, and you're not coming with him to look at these houses, and you're not sharing this, like, what is this financially going to look like for us? There's a lot of questions. And that was really what broke my heart. And I feel like he picked that perfect timing. COVID, a lot of people felt, isolated and lonely and by themselves. I think he just found that window of opportunity with her and felt like this wooing and this time frame. I mean, manipulators know all of that. They find the perfect in and get in there, and then they just work it. So it's always, I find, better to listen more than you talk when you date.
So let me ask you, do you think, what did he get out of this? I mean, that psychological uh manipulation piece, or do you think, because I really, I don't know what he got out of it other than that, like the thrill of being able to manipulate someone like that.
I feel like that's it. I feel like that is exactly, especially because she wasn't of wealth. So I mean, what was he getting? I really think it was just mind screwing with somebody that he enjoyed, which is pathetic, actually. It's really pathetic.
Well, he got companionship, he got free booty, um, he got a place to stay, a bigger place to stay. He got his little thrill. I mean, he did get some things out of it too. A lot of men are driven by, unfortunately, like the sex. Maybe she was like the best, I don't know. But he just was mentally too. Because I was just thinking through the whole thing, I was just trying to figure him out, like, but the cousin said he had been lying all of his life. And so I just thought he's got to be mental. I mean, just to go to the depths, because I
Yeah.
would get exhausted and tired. Not, I mean, I got the when you first get the thrill of her getting excited or whatever, but to keep it on and keep it on, that's just exhausting to me. Just like tired. Okay, I don't want the house. I don't want the car, but he fed on her. It was greed. He fed on her greed. So I felt like she needed to. I'm not sure if she really learned it. I mean, did she really learn? Because you could tell that she was smart, because at the end, I mean, toward the end, like when she was figuring stuff out, she went to all lengths to get the truth. So about to Nunya's point, she wasn't dumb. She just wanted to see what she wanted to see, and she was hoping that she was wrong, so it would play itself out, but it never went the direction that she wanted it to go. And then when they start, even when she was like pressing him about his bank accounts, what I found very interesting is he, even though I'm pretty sure it wasn't the truth, she had been living with him rent free. All her money was her money except for basic. But she only had $1,200 saved in the bank. So I'm got, did you learn your lesson about say, because she said she was living paycheck to paycheck. So your problems aren't gonna all go away. So like what did she learn in the end besides just did she learn about herself and what she needed to do? She did know that well I need to be self-sufficient, so I'm gonna get a better job. But you can get a better job and make all the money in the world. If you don't know how to save and budget and all that, you might find yourself in that same position, or looking for someone to help you with the way out. But and I thought it was interesting that she named him. I don't know if it's just a superficial name, Legion, because Legion in the Bible was the spirit, the devil spirits that we are many, like we're spirits, we're evil spirits. So and she said she was a religious person, so I was wondering if she got Legion from the Bible because that's the epitome of evil. So yeah.
I felt like she did. I really, I mean, I don't know if she did, but I felt like she did because that's exactly what I thought when I heard her say that. I was like, that fits. It fits because that's how it fit in her, how he fit in her world. That's probably how she will always view him. But I definitely hope that she, garnered like valuable lessons, like you said, being self-sufficient, having your own and holding people's feet to the fire. You want to date me, you want to tell me something, show me. Don't tell me, you show me. And I just hope that she like definitely does more research and lets things be more organic and not like so forced because that living together so quickly. Mm-mm.
Um,
I never got the impression that she loved him. She may have said it in her words, but I never, on either side, I never got the impression that they were actually in love. It almost felt like they were just dating
Yeah.
and they were, married and living together, but they weren't really. And maybe, yeah, I don't know. I just,
Just trying to get something from each other the whole time. That's
yeah.
what I felt like.
I mean, we are hearing the story after the fact when she's got all this hurt and pain, so it might be kind of hard to hear any, of that in there. But I don't. Even when she was reflecting in the beginning, I didn't hear any like this falling in love, this madly,
No,
like
no.
and this is why she wanted to believe him. So she definitely didn't deserve what happened to her, but she almost I don't want to say is the reason because people should not do that to you. But her like maybe like you said, he played on her greed, maybe her want for this like partnership financially to feel more secure financially, which who doesn't want to be financially secure, may have been the reason she had those blinders on.
I mean, she herself said that. She said she was intoxicated with the idea of, and it wasn't just the money, it was as much the family. I think a lot of it was she and he both wanted this idea of a marriage and kids. That's why she said the first conversation they had together, and he told her he wanted to have a family, and he was in the church and she was in the church. This to her was her prayers answered. She wanted a man who was in the church who wanted to start a family and get married and have kids. And I think that was a lot of what brought them together. And they seemed to be working towards that end, irrespective of whether there was romantic love. It was like, oh, wait, you want to get married and have kids? I want to get married and have kids. Let's get married and have kids. We'll fall in love eventually, I'm sure. That is how it felt to me, too. Like, where was the passionate love? But I will tell you, thank God there wasn't passionate love because she would have been even dumber, right?
It'd have been
Because
a wreck. Yeah,
it would have been
Right.
a far worse.
yeah,
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 definitely,
yeah.
definitely for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
So we can talk about some of the stories, but I just want to know, why was he sick? What was going on? Does anybody know? And I have not watched anything he's said. I don't even know who he is, but why was he sick?
I don't know.
Yeah, it was beyond like the little leg thing. Like I felt like it was I don't know, maybe Nunya saw the variant. You saw the variant. Did they ever say,
No,
did
she
they
didn't know
have
what.
cancer or
No, but to
anything?
go from a 3X to a large, that's a
That's
lot. I mean, that's a
huge.
lot of weight loss.
Yeah, I don't know. She didn't. She never said he's still alive. I've seen him
Okay.
in the interviews, and he is not huge, but he doesn't look unhealthy at all.
Okay. Okay.
So
Yeah.
who knows what was going on. Um, the one I I I think when you were saying like why does a person do that? You know, to me this really was a two to tango. I mean, these are two people who were looking for the same thing, and um, like I said, I think any person who's manipulative, male or female, I mean that's what they do, right? They are able to figure out what motivates you. It's a
Yep.
form of emotional intelligence. It's a high
Yep.
EQ. They look at you and they say, this person wants that. And so, in order for this person to like me, because yeah, he wanted her to like her, you know, him. And so he said, well, then I'll, you know, she seems to be motivated by the money. So I'm going to make it seem like I have more than I have. And so I think that's pretty typical. I don't think it makes you inherently evil to be manipulative. And I know that sounds weird. It's just it's how some people cope. It's like they don't know any other skills on how to deal with things. And so they kind of go into well, you know, I'm going to say what this person wants to hear because then I'll get what I want. Does that make sense? And it can
Mhm.
be something so small. Like kids are manipulative 24/7, right? It
Of course.
doesn't make you inherently evil.
I
It means you
agree.
really don't have any other coping skills or any other skills to get what you want other than to try to, you know, bend the rules and deceive. So you know, I'm not going to look at him as the monster here. I think she was open and willing. She was as superficial as he was. They were together a long time. I do think there was genuine love there, even though she didn't talk that way. But of course, she's talking after they broke up. Who knows what she was telling people during? I did think it was really interesting that she said something that is the reason so many bad things happen to women, which is she didn't want to tell her friends and her family the truth.
Oh my God. Yep.
Wasn't that heartbreaking? Because I
Yep.
watch true crime, and let me tell you, the next step is usually the murder. It always happens that
Yep.
way.
Which
Yep.
almost happened.
Yep. And I feel like guys always say, this is our relationship, keep it in a relationship. I'm like, you need to tell your friends, whoever's close to you, somebody needs to know. I get it, they don't need to know all the details in your relationship. But if something weird is going on, or even if something you tell them the happy stuff, why wouldn't you share some of the things? Because no marriage is perfect. We all know that. So you need to share some of these things because people get hurt.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She didn't tell, she said, because she was ashamed,
Yeah.
right? She didn't want to be judged. And that's why people don't tell things, right? Because we have
Yep.
all had our girlfriends come to us and tell us a story, and they don't really want your advice, right? Because they know what the right thing is to do. They just aren't motivated to do it yet or have the will to
Yep.
do it.
Yep.
So, but she was just like, you know, I didn't want to do it. I was ashamed. I was embarrassed. And I think that front, and this is what I meant, like the two of them together were keeping up a front. They were
Yep.
both equal partners in a front. That happens way too often in our communities. The big weddings, all this nonsense to show the world that you're in love. And
Yep.
she's buying into that. And all her friends were envious of her, right? She had a man paying all her bills, you know, her hair done and her nails done. Shame kills people, right? Shame, secrets kill. And so I felt bad that she couldn't bring herself to admit that to her family and friends because I feel like somebody would have tried to intervene. Somebody may have, because I'm telling you, you know, I'm too blunt. When I have had people come to me, they never come back to me because they're not going to want to hear what I have to say, which is the truth. But I felt like she was by herself, and that was adding to the fact that she didn't know how to get. And I
Right.
literally watched a true crime story last night. I don't know how, I was just sitting there, you know, goes to the next thing. This couple was married. He killed her the night before they were about to get evicted. She had no idea there was an eviction, a foreclosure. He hadn't paid his mortgage in 21 months. He and her were both in the church, Calgary church. That's what they grew up in. That's what they married in. All the church people were there. Then two of the people in the church started getting suspicious of him. But, he never told her anything. And it was just those kind of secrets, like I said, don't end well. I do feel like in the case of this girl, if she had known, she probably would have talked to people, and that might have saved her life because it might have given her a way to get out of it. But I felt so bad that she couldn't reach out to her family and her closest friends and tell them what was going on, and that she didn't give herself an outlet to get out, to get out of the situation, because she didn't seek help from anyone else, even a therapist. If you think that you're going crazy because she knew something was up, go talk to a therapist.
Yeah.
I mean,
And I would say the things that she thought she should have felt ashamed of, I didn't even think they were that bad. Like, oh, he showed me a house, he claims he has his money. Okay. I mean, so I wouldn't be ashamed of that. I wouldn't be ashamed of the fact that if I fell in love with this guy, right? I mean, you moved in with him. So, I mean, if you weren't ashamed of that, then the other stuff shouldn't be that bad. But like some of those things that I felt she was maybe could have been ashamed of, I don't think they would have been that shameful, I guess is what I'm saying. Like, I would prefer you come to me and tell me, because I didn't really see,
I
like, it was
agree.
the end of the world. It's like, okay, well, let's talk about this or something.
Right.
But you don't go out of your way to create an image. I think that's what it was. I've told everybody that this is the savior, right? This is the man.
Right.
He's like,
Right.
and so it's going back and saying all of that was a lie. That's what she couldn't bring
I made a
herself.
mistake.
But you aren't the type of person who care. Like, she's crafted an image, right? If you're the person who crafts an
Yeah.
image,
Yeah.
you're not me, you're not you, right? You're a person who cares about this image. You and I don't create an image, and we don't care, so we don't have anything there that's holding us back from being honest. She had that. I mean, you saw the pictures from the wedding, right? She
Oh
already knew.
no, I
By
didn't
the
see any pictures.
didn't
they,
either.
oh yeah, they showed the wedding.
Must have been at the end, very end. It was at the very end.
No, it wasn't very end. They got married right after she had the right after she had the miscarriage, or right before she had the miscarriage.
Right after. I
Yeah,
haven't
so
seen any picture. Wow, I'll have to, yeah, I'm not going back,
that was a
but
video. A lot.
Maybe because I was at the first part, I was listening, like I didn't look because I thought she was like always in the car, and I was like, that part I hated. I was like, oh, why are you doing this in the car?
Yeah.
And yeah, I didn't like that part, and I don't I don't think that he was ever in love, because this is not something new. This is not a new relationship for him. Like, that was like the third time that we know of. So the whole kids and the whole family stuff in the beginning to me was a facade. He used that actually three other times. He just had no he just had no shame or nothing about the lies that he was saying. He was just saying them effortlessly. And I just think he just saw her as another prey and another prank. He probably knew it would eventually end. The other ones eventually ended. I mean, her story is not different than the other two stories that we know about.
right.
So I don't ever think that he loved her. It was he saw opportunity, and she saw opportunity until it didn't work anymore.
Yeah, that goes back to her point from the beginning. They probably didn't love each other, but they were in love with an idea, and they were both trying to pursue that.
But did he want that idea, or did he just use
I
that to
feel like
get
he didn't.
will her in? I don't think he ever wanted
Yeah, maybe.
family and kids, and he would just saw opportunity. He'd use it as long as he could, and then I'm pretty sure he's just gonna go on to the next person to do the same thing.
There's so much to take from all of that, and I hope that a lot of people have taken, like, as a friend, as a woman who likes to straighten other women's crowns. I hope we learn when our friends come to us and tell us something. I think our fear is, like, we haven't decided if we're going to leave or not. We don't want our girlfriends to hate him because we don't know if we're going or not. So maybe we can learn as women, when our friends come and tell us something, just to listen and say, like, what do you need from me? Like, what can I do for you? As opposed to being like, judgmental. Why are you staying? Get him
Yep.
out.
Girl.
You're not saying like, how are you going to do that? What is going to help? Can you do it on your own? Like the logical questions that we should be asking. Are you staying because you financially cannot do it on your own, or are you staying because you're not 100% sure that these things are going on? Are you asking me, what do I feel if this were happening in my life? Sometimes people gaslight you so much, and you have that financial need or that love for them, or both, that you don't know, like you don't have the proof. It just reminds me of that Eddie Murphy joke when the woman saw her butt naked and he's like, it wasn't me. It wasn't me. After a while, she's like, okay, maybe it wasn't you. The gaslighting. So that is like numero uno of the thing that manipulators do. They tell you what you see you're not seeing, or what you're feeling you're crazy for feeling it because it's not happening. And I think we need to learn, when our friends do come to us to say something, to be more quiet and listen, because people a lot of times come to you, they just want someone, they want to vent, and they want someone to hear. They don't want the judgment. And then maybe engage with them, asking thought-provoking questions so they can come to the conclusion their own self. If you're going to be like, you should leave, you should do, they're going to feel even more shrunken and small in this situation, where now it's someone they love, and their friends that I love my friends that they love, who are also not helping them get to the next step, but holding them to this, like, firing off all these questions, when it's really someone's pouring their heart out to you. They're hurt, and they really need love and compassion in making those decisions that are not easy to make.
Yeah, and I think that goes both ways. Every communication is two ways, right? If what you want is an ear, you can say that. I'm going to tell you some things. I'm not looking for any direction or any advice. I just need a shoulder. That's a two-way street. Usually we are also very selective about what we choose to tell people, right? So if you come to me, right, and they're leaving out most of the details, we're going to have different conclusions. And so that happens quite a bit. But if you do come to me and you are, if you're ranting and raving, you want me to jump into the rant, because most people do want your empathy. They want you to be mad with them, right? They're mad at their husband. They want you to be mad at their husband too. And that is part of their relief. Like, I'm not crazy, am I right? Isn't he ridiculous? And you can say, so it's
forgive their husband. They want you to forgive their husband too. But as friends,
exactly right.
Like,
so
I still hate him. I still hate him.
I mean, that's happened to all of us, where we have heard so many negative things about somebody's significant other that we have internalized, and we think this person's horrible, and then they suddenly, oh no, he's the best thing ever, and you're like, so it's a two-way street. People want to go and vent and share only enough information to get from that other person the feedback they want, right? And so it's a two-way street. I would just say that. But her point wasn't that she went to people and they judged her. That didn't happen. She was ashamed, right? It may be that if she told them, there would have been no judging. Her aunt, for example, was the person. It was like, her aunt wasn't judging her, but she was judging herself by picking and choosing what she chose to tell people. Exactly. And so she put them in positions where you're always going to be upset with how the other person responds, because the other person doesn't have the full context, right?
And just not telling somebody, to me, her not telling anyone, she knew that it was wrong. That's why you're not telling anyone, and you're still in it, and you know that you shouldn't be. Like, this woman went to FAMU. You could tell her intelligence toward the end. Like, when we were talking about, when Nunya was talking about, like, she didn't know any of the financial stuff. I don't feel like, if she wants to research and know something, we know that she can. I felt like she just didn't want to put her hands in it because she didn't want a financial piece of it. She just wanted him to do everything, and she get this beautiful home, she get this beautiful car. But she didn't want to be like, if I know this stuff, then that's gonna maybe put me a financial piece in it, or it's just not the fairy tale that I want. I want that he just bought me this beautiful house and this beautiful car, and I didn't have to do anything. I stayed in my little bubble and was happy.
Other thing I have to say is I've learned from my friends that are married, not all married couples talk about their finances. And I think that is the weirdest thing ever. But
Okay.
I have a good friend who got divorced and couldn't tell me how much her husband made. She said, I don't even know. I'm like, huh? I
I know that's right. Huh, that's important.
pay rent and food for me unless I know how much you make.
I
But
mean,
even no, seriously, I don't know what my siblings make or anything like that. But if I was cohabitating with you and we're married, I just can't even imagine. But it's very common where people do not share that level of information. And I never thought, I assumed everybody did, but I just heard it too many times that they don't. And I think, it's, I don't know why that is. Maybe those of you that are married could explain why you wouldn't share your financial information with your husband, but
I've seen it where I mean, I never heard of such a thing. It depends on when they got married too, because I've heard that. It depends on, like, I can
mm,
see somebody who makes billion, like lots of somebody's married to somebody who's just very wealthy, and then they just take care of you, so you don't really care because your whole life is a fairy tale. And if you need money, you just go to the bank and you just going along. That's one thing. A second thing is if you get, at what age did you get married? Because like if you got married, I would say like 40 something. You're pretty much well together. He's pretty much well together. You got your money in because and then this is what I was told, then you don't want to share that money because you built it and to me you're building your relationship. Your foundation is wrong at the beginning. If you always you put the love and all that stuff in and want to get married and stuff, but you don't want to put the financial piece because you say if something happens, you've already doomed it in my opinion. But people say that because they worked all this hard and if something happened, they want to go their separate ways with their money and they don't want somebody in their money because they'll I just thought that was weird. We have a couple that we used to go to and they used to say, are you gonna pay for it? Oh, I'm gonna pay for it. I'm like, well, like really? Like who cared? But
mm.
um yeah, it depends on what age because you just hold on to that if something happens and I guess I mean I get it to a certain extent, but I just never lived marriage that way. I mean, to me, if you just become one, and if it means financial, it means financial. And if something happens, you deal with it when it happens. You can't be scared of what might happen because to me, you've already doomed it. Life is not a surety. Nothing's a surety. So you just have to let life play itself out, and then you deal with whatever happens, happens, in my opinion.
And you also, this goes back to, if you're going to do that, you need to know what the divorce laws are in your state, because there are people who keep their, that's why my friend didn't know what her husband was making. They kept it separate. They were a little bit older. She's a OBGYN, and they both had good careers. He's an engineer. They both had made good money. But that is exactly why you have to know, because when it comes to divorce, all that's on the table.
Mhm.
And
Right.
so just you not telling it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It exists.
Exactly.
Kind of
And then
sad.
you give, and then people have evil intents, especially when you just, they're not the same person when you're getting ready to separate. And so that piece is extremely important because you could find yourself in a really bad, I've seen a couple of couples
Yep.
that you never would even know that the other mate would even go that far or go that deep or whatever, but you just
Money
never
is
know
definitely
a person.
a powerful thing. Money is a powerful thing. And I know people say, like, if you talk about prenups ahead of time, you already set yourself up for failure. But I really don't think, I think when you are older, you should have that, like, you know what love is. You're not all like blinded by it. You can be happily in love and still be like realistic. Like, we may, even though we're grown and we say, we're on the same page today, 30 years from now, we may be, if we're 40 now, we're going to be 70, we may have different views. Maybe I want to live where it's hot, you don't, or, I'm not active anymore. And, sometimes men can clearly by Robert De Niro and Al Pacino still having babies in their 80s are. So, there's several reasons why you may want to separate. I don't think there's anything wrong with talking about, what does separation look like if we ever have to have that? If you want to do a prenup where what you came in here with is yours, what I came in here with is mine, or, you know, I want to make sure you're straight. I think it's okay to say we may not always be in love. Let's hope there's never hatred. And I think, you know, the two things that can bring about hatred is definitely infidelity and money, and not always necessarily in that order. So, so yeah, I think it's wise to talk about that.
100%. And I think, you know, love isn't marriage, right? I mean, two people can love each other and never get married. They're not going to they don't love each other any less than somebody who is married.
Right.
And I think we also have an idealistic view of marriage. Marriage historically is a contract, right? I mean, historically, if you look at the history of marriage, you know, it might be that you have to marry this person because, you know, we're trying to combine your tribe with that tribe. And love has nothing to do with it. It's a financial arrangement. So if you want to love a person, you don't have to get married. Love that person. Go all in. Do everything. But if you're going to get married, I think you're right. I think it's a separate issue than love, which is just a financial contract. It's a legal contract. It's about beneficiaries. It's about, you know, all of those legal protections. And if you want that, then you should go ahead and get the marriage certificate. But I had a wise person say to me, or I don't know, they had read it, that this person was been married a long time, that there are 3 things that you need in a marriage. No, you need 2 out of the 3 L's in a marriage for it to work. There's 3 L's: love, like, and lust. As long as you have 2 of the 3 at any given time, you're good. But you're not going to always have 3. There's going to be times when you don't like that person, but you still might love them, right? You might be lustful for that person, but you may not like them. You know, you just got to have 2 of the 3 L's. And if you have that, then you're good. So, you know, I think it's okay that to have a prenup too. It's a financial arrangement. That's what marriage is. Now, if marriage to you is just about, you know, if it's a spiritual, religious thing, that's different. But if you go to a state to get a marriage license, that's a financial contract. That makes sense. And so I think, yeah, prenup it makes sense, especially if you are a little bit older. And it's not just about whether you believe, you know, it's about other things, right? If, let's say, you know, I don't have kids, but I married somebody, but I wanted to make sure that my siblings got my inheritance and not the spouse or whatever, you do a prenup. Like, there's many reasons why it may make sense to do it. That doesn't mean you love a person any less, and it doesn't mean that you're setting it up for failure. Because if that's the case, you would never get married, because 50% of marriages fail, right? If you get married, you're pretty much saying it's a 50-50 shot, it's gonna last. Right. Or if you get married and you love in your heart, and then you have to make a decision about marriage separately, is what I think. I don't know. Right. No, I agree. If you get married and you have grown children as well, you both may want to make sure that your kids get what you have. Especially if you know this person that you're with is all set. They don't need, you know, they don't need anything more, but you want to make sure that your children have. So yeah, I don't think there's any shame or, you know, anything bad about it, because and I think it's way more important to like, you know, who you're with at all times. The love and the lust can, like, you know, but if you genuinely like who you're with, I think all that other stuff, it comes in, you know, ebbs and flows. You just said something I was going to respond to, but I forgot. What I was going to say, and it doesn't matter. I think people think prenups are for rich people. Prenups are for anybody who has something that, like you said, they want to protect for somebody else.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, so you could be a bus driver and you should get a prenup if you know you got a child that you want to take care of and you don't want all the money going to somebody else. Yeah, you need it.
Agreed.
Absolutely.
Agreed. And you can have a prenup that simply says, I mean, it could be that, you know, if we ever get a divorce, then we're going to share the funds. I mean, you can still put it on paper, you know?
Oh yeah. I see what you're saying. So the prenup doesn't, I think people always assume that the prenup is like this proactive defensive mood.
Right.
But it could be a positive, like,
it
listen,
can be.
Happen,
of course.
I love you to the end of the world, but I may want to divorce you, and, you know, I want you to have half. You helped me.
Exactly.
That's a really good point. Yeah, that's why I think the thing is so important, because, you know,
can fall out of love, and you definitely can fall out of lust. But I think if you like someone and you want to, like, I don't hate you. I want to make sure that you're good. I would hope that you want to make sure that I'm good. There's no reason for us to be, fighting. We both came in with something and then we built a little more.
But people fight over money. Even
Oh,
people think
a
that they
thousand,
have
thousand
people
percent.
who, yeah,
Money is
couples.
a powerful thing,
Yep.
and people use it.
Yep. Every year
Somebody stops loving or liking, and the other person still does. Money is definitely something that they dangle. So
So
I
I
have
just,
sympathy for her.
yeah, I just want to bring it kind of back to the story. Do you think the money that he showed her in those accounts, I'm sorry, she said she caught them all online. So I guess he really had no money. I'm not sure how he paid for the tires or whatever, because remember she said, I
he
want to
had a
see,
job.
show me your checking account. She said, show me your checking account. He showed her some accounts with some money, but she found out that what he did was he went on the internet and he just printed or an example of an account with money, and that's what he showed her. Why she wasn't all in his phone to check it out, I don't know, but when he showed it to her quickly, he said, see, here it is, and she was good with that.
Well, she knew he
Because,
had a job, right? He
oh,
was
well,
paying bills, a job.
well, you know what? He had something, right?
He
Because I
had
don't think he worked where she thought he worked, right? Remember, they couldn't go there because his badge wouldn't get him in. And then he
or
had an address at the cemetery, and then he was at the supermarket. I mean, he had a hustle, but I don't know if he had a job. He had
he
something
had,
going.
he had enough to pay her rent and her bills, right? I
That's
mean,
what I'm saying. Do you think he got that money from his friends, though? Remember, the guy said he owes me so much. You think maybe he had borrowed from Peter to pay Paul?
not that amount. And
No.
he did, I mean, he left the house. He left the house he had a job. It wasn't the job that I think he was going to tell her about. Like you said, he probably was a janitor somewhere. Who knows? But he had
A
a
job is
job
a job.
every day. He came home every day. He was able to pay her bills. He had a job and he did. But that's what was so weird to me was when she said, listen, I want to see proof. And he pulled up, some nonsense. And I'm like, girlfriend, that's why I'm like, I wouldn't even talk about FAMU. I felt like she did FAMU dirty. I I did personally, because I was like, I wouldn't be telling everybody I'm a college grad as silly as she was sounding sometimes.
Did she
But
graduate or did she say she didn't graduate?
she did.
Oh, I thought she said she didn't, but
Or
either
maybe
way, I mean,
she said that she went. But what I was gonna say was, okay, the money stuff, I think we're being a little critical on her. I honestly believe 90% of people would fall for all of that. But what I don't believe, yes,
with
is what,
the with the
what?
account showing the fake account and
Oh,
just signing away. If someone signed away, I says to me, we can buy this house for cash. I have 750,000. I'd be like, you got to show me that because I know what it means to say you're going to put a cash offer on a house. I'd be like, you gotta show me that money because that's a lot of money.
well, you just said it. Number one, and number two, if you remember, he said that money was in the offshore account that he never would show,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Where the money was. And he did show her a letter from Chase Bank, remember, which I
He
think was a
did.
qualification letter. I don't even know what that was. So she did have some evidence of it. But let's jump back to how the hell is he claiming he was playing football and you don't Google that? Let me
Yeah.
tell you, you tell me you're a chef at X restaurant before you finish. I'm like, Google. So he played in this, I don't forget what it's called, the League of Football, whatever it was. It's
Yeah.
some kind of, yeah, not minor league. What do they call that?
I forgot
Arena.
what she called
Arena.
arena. Yep.
So he played in arena football. And she never thought once,
To
would
look
it
his name
be
up.
curiosity? Just, yeah, I would look it up.
Yeah. Yeah.
She did. So the whole, when she heard football and she kept saying, I don't know anything about sports. Okay, but you don't have to know to Google something quickly. If you hear the word arena, you have male people in your life. Ask them, have they ever heard of the Tampa,
Yep.
pain?
Yep.
The answer is no, they don't
Yep.
play it well. So, not the NFL. Oh, so I'll never watch you on TV. Oh, what's arena football? Do they make as much? I don't know. I'm curious. So I know I
Yep.
would ask
Yep.
questions.
Yep.
But the that she didn't even care enough to find out about his football career. And then when she finally was smart enough to call the school, and they said, no, we have no record of him. He says, yeah, I was in that witness, whatever that little secret.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Something I'd never heard of before.
Yeah. Like what?
At that point, I was like, okay,
Yeah,
you
that was it
don't
for me.
want to know the truth. You
Right.
don't want to know
Right.
the truth
Yeah,
because
there was
you
so
wanna-
many times, yeah, when I was like, he must be putting it down or something because there's no way. I'm like, there's no possible way. I was still trying to gauge, like, how old is she? Because I'm
was,
thinking,
at her age, I think she's 41.
yeah, I was thinking early.
Okay.
I was thinking, so I
Now,
was
but she's 40
at
ish.
that point, I was like, okay, now you're too old for this. Like now you're too old for this.
Yeah.
Now you know better. You do.
Yeah.
You just want
Yeah.
to be snowed,
Yeah.
but you don't know how bad that's gonna.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you know.
I mean, I think she knew the whole time. I think she just had hope. She just kept hoping that, okay, I see the writing on the wall, but I'm hoping that it's just in pencil and it can be erased. Like she knew. I think she knew, but she just kept trying to stay positive, even though nothing, like absolutely nothing gave her the impression that
I mean,
anything was
I
real.
think
She
before,
just kept hope.
I think before,
Like I said, I'm okay with her not knowing because I really do believe a lot of people would fall for all of the financial stuff. But I'm back to the fact that when she found out he didn't even go to the school, like now we're not talking about whether you make money or not make money. Now we're talking about, he lied about even
a
attending.
lot.
And not only did he lie about attending it, but he furthered it by saying he was a part of some organization. Like at that point is when I said, okay, girl, I'm willing to buy that you don't know how to buy a house because most, a lot of people don't. I'm willing to buy that you don't know about pre-qualifications, that you're being, you know, finessed with all this stuff. But people aren't in secret societies that are getting like, what? That's why I said she did FAMU dirty. I was like, don't go around telling people that you went to FAMU. FAMU don't want you advertising that.
Yeah, there was certain things I'm like, no matter how much you want to fall for the okie doke, like that's just like he's a liar. So now he's a liar. So now you have to wonder if somebody's making that grand of a lie and you catch them in one and they make it even grander. Now everything you say
Is sus. Everything out your mouth is sus. I gotta brush my teeth. Are you sure? Like everything would be sus.
Are you? Yeah. No, everything. It would just leave me so uneasy. I wouldn't be able to sleep at night.
Me
I'll tell you.
either. Me either.
At all. I would be
Me
like,
either.
what kind of psychopath are you?
Yep.
Just can't be like, okay, I didn't go to, I'm just, I feel ashamed I didn't finish or whatever. But no, you have to like take the story. No. No.
And then take it any place realistic. Take it into, the dark web. Yeah, well, they're concealing my identity and I was on campus, but it was under a different, what? Like where have you lived that's even something you've heard of?
Yeah, all that, because I would be so concerned. Like if you have to be like in a secret society or witness
Yep. I don't want any parts of it.
Like
I don't want any parts of it.
Any part of it. I don't want to live with you. They might take me hostage.
Exactly.
Get to you like that. That's just like he went so far left.
Yep.
And there are so many things wrong with that. It's just
I kept thinking, was it mental illness or was he just really, really good at manipulation? Because and the reason why I said mental illness is because then he got really sick. And I kept thinking, was the sickness part of the mental illness? Like I was just trying to because and she talked about, and I don't care. I maybe my ears are good, but if you're on the phone every day, as long as I know you, at some point I'm gonna hear someone on the other line. Otherwise, I'm gonna say, who are you talking to?
right.
Like, or the person said, such, I said hi, you would turn the phone. They said hi, or you'd be like, can I talk to them? Not once did she think I can't hear anybody and say something. I'd be like, who the hell is that? Like, I don't hear anything on the phone.
Right.
That part was very strange to me because up until this point, he is a garden variety manipulator, right? They're a dime a dozen. He's not special. He said, I don't think he's some evil being. think he has any mental health. There are manipulative people out there, men, women, everybody tries to manipulate, right? But the whole, if he was truly not talking to people on that phone,
That's how weird is that?
that is
Mental
mental illness.
illness. That's
But
why I was
I
like,
think
yeah,
he was talking to people, just nobody that she knew of.
that's what I
That
thought too.
brother. It was all
That-
his side
that-
side pieces and
That's
everything.
it. That's what I thought.
And that's
Acting
why
like Jerome, sounded Jessica
It-
sounded like Jerome. What up, man?
Right. that's where some of that money came from. I think he had a bunch of women and he was just like,
Robbing Peter to pay Paul, just like the shoes. She was buying some woman's child's shoes. I swear that's the story. Remember, she said he had us in the store buying children's shoes, a girl's children's shoes, and I'm sending him to an address. I'm like, yeah, that's his girlfriend's daughter. Like, you don't question that?
Oh, the one that he divorced in California, but he was still taking care of the child. That one that he claimed.
Yeah,
And
any kid. She's buying some other woman's baby's.
Right.
it was that one.
I mean,
He had supposedly dated some girl, and they broke up, and he moved from California. Remember, he
oh
had never
yeah,
lived back to his
right,
dad,
right.
and it found
Yeah.
out that the girl, like you said, lived around the corner.
Exactly. They all lived around the corner.
oh,
Mother's best friend, all of his side chicks,
everyone.
everybody lived around. They all lived in the same block.
Yeah.
Did. They pretty much did. But I will say, I give the other one of the women right away was like, nah, it ain't about nothing. And so she bounced. The other one stayed in a little too long. She figured it out. But I was like, yeah, it's so easy. It shouldn't be this easy to manipulate people, but it is.
Yeah.
And I would say, instead of wondering, because we always want to know what the aggressor's motivation is, I would say we have to start asking ourselves, why do we value this fairy tale of a big wedding and a husband and kids
And
over
marriage.
so many things? We'll elevate that and ignore everything else.
Yep.
Why are we doing that to ourselves?
I have no idea. Because guys don't feel that way. They
No,
don't have a fairy tale about anything, I don't think, that we can easily manipulate. But
Right.
women, for sure, you talk about a big wedding and like since when is I don't know. I've been to many weddings. I think they're beautiful, but nothing about a big wedding is appealing to me. It just sounds like a lot of work,
and
a lot
nothing
of stress and a lot of work.
Money for one day.
Yeah, and nothing about a big wedding says these people love each other more than the person who went to the
Exactly.
the county judge,
Or Elvis in Vegas, like nothing.
or nothing, or
Right.
nothing. Who just said, here's some beads, you put them on, we're married.
That's
I
it.
agree, but again, this is, and I hate to say this. Actually, I can talk about this now because Tony's not here. I'm just kidding.
Well, she was
Anyway.
never here, but that's good.
True. I will say this. That is Atlanta inside and out.
What do you
Atlanta
mean?
is most, they front and flex like no place on
Oh.
earth. Second only to DC.
Oh, I can't
Like the
stand
whole
that.
image.
I
And
can't stand that.
worse. That's why
Superficial. I cannot
Oh,
stand that.
everybody
Showboating.
like
But
totally
they'll have two nickels to rub together. Listen,
Right.
some of the wealthiest people in the world on the planet look like your next door neighbor. They don't look like the people on Miami,
all
strutting in Miami. They
of
don't.
them do.
Yeah, look homeless half time.
Except people always say to me, I've had people say to me, look at the way you dress, look at your car. Why aren't you driving this? I'm like, why? First of all, I don't want people to know. Not like I'm rolling in the dough. I'm not. But people don't need to know that I'm living the way, you know what I mean? That I'm okay in my scenario. I want you to continue to think that I'm broke. Stay away from me. Like, you know what I mean? I don't
I
think
drive
showboating.
the car not because I care what people think. I'm not trying to hide, the fact that I've, done okay.
You like that car though. Like
Well, as I'm saying, I just don't see. Listen. I like some expensive stuff. Everybody knows I have some
everybody does some
high
things.
end taste in some places, and then other places I'm right at the thrift store buying T-shirts.
Exactly.
I think I also don't. I'm not in a culture that encourages that kind of flexing and blinging. Atlanta does, right? Everybody down there is, there's somebody I know, said, there are no more poor people, and it's true. When we grew up, there was poor, there was working class, there was middle class, upper middle class, wealthy, rich then wealthy. And I was fine being in the working class, right? I didn't know any better. Today, you don't see there's no such thing, because the working class people are walking around with nicer clothes than the
Looking like, yep,
spending more money getting their hair done and their
yep,
nails and their
yep,
eyebrows, and they're wondering
yep,
why they live in paycheck to paycheck,
yep,
$1,000 note payments instead of going to get the
yep,
rinky Kia. They're out there
yep,
sporting their
yep.
Mercedes. And so
And for who?
but
Right.
all image. That's what social media has done. It's people think that this Kim Kardashian lifestyle is attainable, instead of recognizing, no, you're working class. You are paycheck to paycheck. That's
Right,
okay. There's no shame
right,
in it. I grew up working class. Nothing wrong with that. But they don't want that. So they
right.
have working class paychecks, but they're presenting themselves as if they're,
With a
oh,
champagne taste, what is that? What's that saying? Uh,
Oh, big
you're
money and champagne taste.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's exactly what it is. That's
it really
exactly what, and then they wonder why there's no future, there's no generational wealth, there's none of that stuff because you're too busy spending it on crap that lasts for the moment, right? There's no longevity in, pair of, I don't know, brand name sneakers. Like eventually you're gonna wear them out. You know what I mean? You can't pass them on. It's like, come on, people. And I'm so glad I don't live in that. They'd probably making fun of me. They'd probably be like, "Ooh, look at her hair. Like she needs to go get her hair did, her nails done." They would be making fun of me because I just don't see the value in any of that.
And I think that's the beauty of not being surrounded by that. I don't either, but I'm also surrounded by people who don't value those kind of things. So it
That's
makes
where
it,
I want to be.
and I want to surround myself by people who
Yep.
aren't flexing. All of who could flex if they
Yep.
wanted to. I mean, I do have
Yep.
one who wants to flex, but they don't. And
Right.
so I don't feel like I have to, do that.
Right.
But that's what it is. And I feel I'm grateful that I'm old enough to not have grown up on social media, because I don't know what person I would have been if I had. Like, it's easy to make these independent decisions because I don't know what it's like. Honestly, though, that woman's 10 years difference than me. F that. There's no
You
excuse.
wouldn't.
There's no excuse for some 40-year-old to be beholden to social media. You know what it's like to not have that. Turn it off.
Right.
My,
That's true.
little 10-year-old nieces, maybe not, but you remember what it was like to actually have the phone get a busy signal. Don't act like you're fresh.
Yep.
This is
Yep.
not new,
Yep.
but
Yep.
that's how it is. And it's, and that, and the guy wasn't even that cute, but that's a whole nother point.
When they said the 3 places where he was, I was like, wait, what? How old is he? How old is that person?
Oh, he was so perfect. He was so charming. And then I saw and I was like, I understood why they did match up, though, because if you do ever watch his rebuttal, she's a talker and he is a talker. And so
Oh,
I was like,
really?
Nobody's
he is, how she can talk, right? She's a
Yeah.
talker. Just did 50 things of an amazing job of it. She likes to talk and he does too. So I could see why they would catch up to each other. Like how
Oh
they would.
God, I think it would just be yickety yak all day. I would think.
talking. No one's listening. Too much talking. That's the problem. That's the problem. There's a beautiful thing in listening, and a more beautiful thing in comprehending. People listen. They listen to respond. They don't listen to understand or to comprehend what you're saying. So she could have probably seen them flags way from the beginning if she did less talking and more listening.
No, I agree with yes, she could have, but I agree with Whaley. She saw the flags.
She knew.
She just didn't want to give up on her dreams.
That's right. She didn't. She didn't.
I understand that fully.
I understand that too.
Me too.
I get it for her. I don't,
I understand that
or
too.
jump for that or anything else because, I think we all have a vision, a dream. Some of our visions are just let me be, I'm comfortable by myself. Let me just be that way and entertain, date, talk, whatever. But I have no desire to go forward. And sometimes that's who we are. But I do think the majority of people, they do dream of that fairy tale wedding, and that, I think people should focus more on having a beautiful relationship, whether it's a marriage or just a relationship. That should be the focus, not
That
that
should be
one
the
day.
fairy tale.
That's the fairy tale,
That's the
truthfully.
fairy tale. Finding someone that you love, that loves you, and whether you're putting twisty ties on your finger as a ring or not, that's the fairy tale,
Is the
right?
fairy
It's not about the
tale.
wedding. That's the commercial part of things.
Right, right. And the older you get, you should definitely see
Yeah.
that. We're all going to, hope we're all going to pass someday, but hopefully you don't have to be sick and suffering, but having somebody by your side while you're going through all those things, that's really the fairy tale. Yeah, your good times, your bad times, your menopause, and everything in between is
Yeah.
having somebody who takes you, as who you are and loves you through, before the youth starts to leave you and after. That's it.
So going back to this, because this the fundamental question of why do people present themselves on social media in a way that isn't consistent with their truth? Why do they do that? I like, for real. That's an honest question.
The flex, the
I don't know if it's flex. Sometimes if you don't have inner beauty or you don't have self-confidence, because there are people who you see, what you see is what you get. But there are some people who are like myself, for example, right? I'm a little self-confident. I would probably not put a video up there with me in glasses unless I really thought I felt comfortable in my glasses. And I don't know
Really?
if that's really 100%. And it's because, I don't know, the stigma, just growing up with them, all the negativity. So I would present myself the way you see me today, which is still me, right? It's not that far off, but
Mhm.
I would probably feel less comfortable with glasses unless I truly felt comfortable with them. And I haven't found any that I have at this point. But you know what I mean? So I can see why some people would change some things. Would I all of a sudden be Asian? You know what I mean? No. But there are people who go to that extreme too, right? If you talk about people who puts on, there's phenomenal people, makeup artists, right? They do phenomenal jobs with their makeup and they take the makeup off and you were like, but who's that person? Like who's the other person?
Some of
So
the A lot of the makeup artists who do that will show you their before, right?
I know, but
Which
I mean, there's some you're saying, why do people, put up this other? I'm talking about those who don't, right? Some people want to put all the makeup on, they want to look like someone else, they want to, people who wear, you could say that about weaves, you could say about anything,
anything.
right?
yeah, yes. I'm not talking about, listen, I'm not talking about wanting to dress up. That's okay, right? You can, because that's what you would be
You're
doing in
talking
your
about, oh, all the other stuff.
I'm talking about the constant totality of it.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
I'm looking like this now. If I
yeah,
was going out tonight, I would actually put makeup on and everything else. I would look
right,
better than I do
right,
on camera. That's not what I'm talking about, because that is
right.
who I am this person, and I'm also the other person.
Yep, yep.
I'm talking about the whole totality of it.
Got it.
The
Got it.
constantly creating an image that's
Yeah, I
not
don't know.
who you are. It's just,
I
and
don't know. That's
it's
exhausting.
across, it seems it. It's so prevalent across all of social media.
Yeah,
Everybody
yeah.
is just flexing. And my thing is, okay, fine, but what are you getting from it? Like, what is the value to it? Because
You're
I
getting
think
hits, you're getting people, you're getting likes, you're getting
oh,
swipe
true,
rights, and you're getting,
true.
that's what you're getting.
Giving you endorphins, and so it's making you feel better.
I
Yeah.
think so. Now, I don't know how you would ever meet that person though, right? Like unless you want to live this
You don't
life
even
and it's
want
so hard. It's so
you don't
exhausting.
even
Like what? Hmm?
you don't even want to. But what you
Yeah, a
just said
lot
is
of them don't.
true. So the because social media is so prevalent now, some schools have like classes on it for parents, like how to manage your child's social media and stuff like that. And you nailed it. What they told my friend whose daughter's now in college, but in high school, was it's the endorphins they get from the likes.
Mm-hmm.
They likes, and
Yep.
it seems so weird to me, but I understand, and actually I see that, actually, because you remember when I used to stream, I did not care how many followers I had, but my younger nieces
Yep.
cared,
Yep.
counted. every day they tell me I have
Yep,
a follower. And I was like, girls, I don't care. I'm doing this because I enjoy it. Two
exactly.
people following me or 50, well, 50,000, let's be honest, I probably would start caring at that point because I'm probably starting to get paid for real. But between two people following you and 22 is irrelevant. But they would
Right,
track every
right,
single one. Yeah, there's something about that instant feedback that becomes
right.
intoxicating, and
Yep,
it creates their self-worth. But
yep,
my thing, I would rather somebody see me like this and then show up at the restaurant and I'm like laid out, like the makeup's good and
right,
I'm up, and
right.
then oh damn. I don't want it the opposite where they see me all fluffy, then I show up and they're like, well, who's this?
Who's
Like,
this? Exactly,
this is who I am.
exactly.
I can look better than this. I can't look worse than this.
Yeah,
Right.
yep,
This is who I am. So
yep, yep.
I don't understand that. Because to me,
I
when I
think
see those people in the filters, oh my God, and you see them without the filters, who are you doing it for?
That's,
Because
yeah, yeah.
life see you. They
It's the
know
likes. It's those
I
I
likes. Yeah,
understand it.
just how being affected by certain things when we're younger.
yep,
Elise had glasses. I mean, for me, it was being, super thin. I'm always like, like body image conscious about stuff. I don't think it ever really goes away. So I
True.
think how we still feel that from a youth, these people feel that elevated from this fake stuff, but that's how life is now. Back then that was all reality. It was our reality that we lived with, and these days it's that reality of like image perfection, even though you're never going to see anyone who is perfect. And although, I'm far
right,
removed
right.
from like really like letting it like deep soul hurt me like it did as a child, it's still something that, will always be like maybe like a soft spot, the
Yeah.
too thin, too big, too this, too that, whatever.
Yeah. Oh, I've been there. Yep.
I wonder if it goes back to, how we talked about, we when we review our movies, we're kind of jokingly talking about the people, right? And sometimes the visuals, the way they look, and
Yeah.
I think we at least we appreciate, for example, what was that? You Are Not My Mother. We appreciated the fact that those people just look like the same people you grew up with. They're just average people, as opposed to the Hollywood people that would be in, I don't know, Bollywood or something. People just look absolutely beautiful, right? I think it's part of that too, right? You got actors and actresses who are, you know, trying to, fix everything so that they can get the next job, they can get the next models, right? Losing weight, not eating, all those types of things just to get whatever this media is portraying as beautiful. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Just, you don't want to be different.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
I can understand that and totally respect that. Yep. It's gotta be, I feel like sorry, it's gotta be hard growing up with these kind of expectations. I'm glad I didn't. If I was ugly, I'm glad the only people who told me that were my siblings, and I would turn around and call them ugly. You know what I mean? It wasn't like I had 40,000 people who I never met, like picking in my picture and being like two, two, two,
Yep,
three,
yep,
two,
yep,
4.5. The worst
yep,
that
exactly,
wrote
exactly.
in your yearbook something that wasn't like overly nice, but that was the only feedback you got.
Right.
So, and
Yep,
I love that. I love that I didn't grow up feeling all of those. I did have some insecurities. Like I said, who wouldn't? But
yeah,
nothing,
right.
nothing like I look back at the pictures of when I thought I looked cute. And I was like,
You're like,
I
what was I
like,
thinking?
why was I wearing those knee-high wool argyle socks and some gym the picture I'm talking about. Why was I wearing that? I thought I looked like the mom that day. And I'm
Right,
glad you told
right.
me I did.
How
I'm
Yep.
about
glad
the Joffers?
huh?
Joffers. The Joffers. I saw those great Joffers I was wearing in a picture, and I was like, why did I love these pants so much? I was like a
Listen,
whole fool in these things.
I had this slick purple suit that I fell in love with, and I saw it later. I'm like, you could have, it looked like aluminum foil. What was that? You could have cooked me in that shit. Like,
That's wild. That's wild.
But the beauty is that we were not scarred by those choices because we were getting constant feedback on it. You went out, yeah, if, you know, you could tell if your outfit wasn't the best, but there wasn't 30 people at the door saying no, 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 thumbs
Swipe
down.
left, right, left, left, left.
Walking to the club and they'd be like,
Right.
Yeah,
Definitely.
yeah. And I think, you know, to that point, the feedback that you got was probably more honest. I mean, the feedback online can be honest but cruel. But the people who gave you feedback back then is people that you know, like your point, like you said, and it was more honest. If somebody at school said, you know, that's whack, you know, they were just being straight up and you can just go find something else. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah,
Sure.
like who told me that the time to braid my hair was the day of high school pictures? Like of all times when I never wore it braided, I just thought I was going to try to be cute and get it braided that day, and it was like that picture haunts me to this day.
We all have haunting pictures that we can look back on. These kids probably don't even have haunting pictures they can look back on. They're probably gonna look back and think, man, I looked so much better back then. You know what I mean? I can't live up to that. Because
Right.
eventually all this stuff is gonna go away, I think. You know what I mean? Because there's only so far you can go. We've already got to the point where we can make ourselves look like something that we're not. So I don't even know where you go after that. So at some point, I think it's probably gonna be,
We're just going to
I
be
just don't know where it would go.
AI avatars. Like right now, we're somewhat constrained by our physical, right? But
Hmm.
the next step is we're not even going to be taking pictures of ourselves. We're just going to create some avatar, some
Right.
AI
Which we
avatar,
do today. Yep.
but at a much higher level with
Right.
graphics.
Right.
Really, right now the avatars look like
Right.
cartoons, but
Right.
a 3D AI avatar that's going to look exactly like you know, whoever you want to be,
Yep.
right? You know, so maybe my eyebrows will come back in that, right? You know, maybe I'll have a lot of luscious hair again, and these hair chins will go away. So you know, you'll make this beautiful avatar, and that's who you will be. This is well, everybody's going to be working from home, and nobody's going to ever talk to people in person again.
No, never. They're never gonna, well, they're gonna talk on this stupid, you know, through the machines, but they're never gonna see each other
Yeah,
in real life. And if they
yeah.
do, they're not gonna recognize each other. Probably talking to your neighbor and you don't even know it
Yeah.
until you call out their avatar name and they turn around and you're like, oh shit, that's you. That's,
The
Well,
that's
next
you.
people getting married in VR. I tell you, people get married in VR all the time. They don't know what the other person looks like, and they will get married to that avatar.
I definitely think people should watch her TikTok
Yes.
and, you know, for themselves. I think she did do a great job, and I hope that people garner more from it than just being judgmental on, you know, what she was
Yeah.
going through. And
I want
hopefully,
to know his, I think, Nunya, you may have been the only person that has seen his rebuttal, but can you just maybe shed some light on what he said or
He
what he
claims
disputed?
he claims, and like I said, once you start talking to him, you're like, how she believed anything, I don't know. But he claims that he left her because she was cheating on him. If you remember,
That's what,
it was
okay.
that accusations that somebody had come by in a black car, and she said it never
Yep.
happened. He claims that's why they broke up, is that she was cheating on him, and that everything else she said was false. That's what he said. It was all a big lie. She was mad because he caught her cheating on him and he left her. That's what he says.
well, he's definitely a narcissist. He's
I mean,
definitely
again, there's two sides
He's
to
a
every story. If he has
liar.
receipts too, I don't know. Does he have receipts?
It may be that he did see a car and he's going and taking that to assume that she's having this full-blown affair when it could have been something completely, you know, unrelated. So he's going with that story, just like she was going with the story
Right,
that telling the truth. So that's what I said. They're both
right,
delusional.
right, right.
100%. Yeah. But I agree.
Interesting.
I don't have any. This woman said I don't even know what her name is, but I know she's already been on the Today Show. I know she's
Oh,
already gone to
really?
London. Yeah. I remember she had said that her dream was to go to Paris and all this stuff. So she's already gone to
Yeah.
Paris, London. I know she's making a fortune from all these speaking appearances.
good for
But
her.
important, I hope that she realizes now, whatever she's doing as her day job, to quit. She is a storyteller. She needs to be out there writing scripts or telling stories because she's really, really good at it. To
Well,
suck us into this takes a lot.
And if this elevates her life in financial, stability, great for her. I mean, I still think it's, a lot to go through. And I'm quite sure people wouldn't sign up for that, even, if financial stability was at the end of the rainbow. But good for her. Like turning lemonade from lemons is a beautiful thing. And I'm happy for her for that.
Me too. Me too.
Agree. But I do
what's the
think, to
name?
your point, Sunchild, that you said earlier, I do hope, or maybe it was Fly Girl that said it. I do hope that she learned the lesson. It's not about the money, right? If you're going to take this same foolishness and you're going to Paris and and you're still as naive or whatever, being hoodwinked and bamboozled, it doesn't matter. So hopefully it's not about the money at this point.
She did say that part of her thing. She said, I realized my mistake was I was blinded by the intoxicated. So she's
Right.
aware of how she fell into this. And so I also think she's very intentional, right? She did a journal. The reason she's such a good storyteller, she did journaling the entire time throughout her
That's why we know, that's how you know she knew.
yes, well, that too, right? She did oral journaling the whole time that she was married or in the relationship. And I think that level of reflection kind of got her to the point where she could go back and share her story and be more transparent and honest
Yeah.
about it. Because I think she even said a couple times when she would listen to like her video, her audio that time, she was like, I knew then. I knew something then.
Of course
Like
she did.
yeah. So I agree. I think it's amazing. I know we kind of gone over, but I hope that this was a nice break from the horror movies and
Yep.
you guys enjoy doing this.
Yep. It was good.
So all right, we're gonna tackle P. Diddy next.
Ooh. I'm ready.
We can. We can.
right.
All right, ladies. Until
was-
next time, there's Nanya, Sunchild, and I'm Willie Hollow. Thanks, guys, for watching. Bye. Bye.